There's a conversation that happens in every gym, every music school, every startup incubator, and every creative workshop in the world. Someone in their 30s watches someone in their 20s and thinks, I wish I'd started when I was their age. Someone in their 40s watches someone in their 30s and thinks the exact same thing. Someone in their 50s watches someone in their 40s, and you guessed it, the pattern continues. No matter your age, you'll always wish you started younger. Always. This isn't pessimism, it's just math. You can't change when you were born, and you can't reclaim the years you've already lived. But here's the thing that most people miss in this melancholic reflection. Today is the youngest you'll ever be again. Read that again. Right now, in this moment, you are younger than you will ever be for the rest of your life. Tomorrow, you'll be older. Next month, older still. Next year, you'll look back at today and think, I was so young then. So the question isn't whether you should have started earlier. You probably should have. We all should have. The question is, are you going to start today, or are you going to be standing here 5 years from now, wishing you'd started 5 years ago? We tell ourselves stories about why now isn't the right time. I'm too old to learn a new language. I should have started investing in my 20s. It's too late to change careers. I'm not young enough to start a business. I should have learned to play guitar when I was a kid. Every single one of these statements contains the same logical flaw. They assume that because you didn't start at the optimal time, there's no point in starting at all. But optimal and possible are not the same thing. Yes, learning a language is easier when you're 7 than when you're 37. Yes, compound interest works better when you start at 22 than at 42. Yes, your body recovers faster from workouts when you're 25 than when you're 55. But none of this means it's not worth doing now. The mistake is thinking in terms of best instead of better. You're not trying to optimize for where you could have been. You're trying to optimize for where you can still be. Here's a simple thought experiment that cuts through all the noise. Imagine it's 5 years from today. You didn't start the thing you're thinking about starting. You're sitting in the same place with the same regrets, but now you're 5 years older. How do you feel? Now imagine the alternative. It's 5 years from today, you started. You weren't great at first, nobody is. You made mistakes, you struggled. But you kept going. And now, 5 years later, you're not a master, but you're competent, maybe even good. You've made real progress. How does that feel? The brutal truth is this. 5 years is going to pass whether you start or not. The only question is whether you want to arrive at that future with new skills and experiences, or with the same regrets plus 5 more years of, I wish I had. Time is passing anyway. You might as well have something to show for it. Let's talk about some people who started late. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was 40. She's now one of the most famous names in fashion. Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his first major role until he was 43. He's now one of the highest-grossing actors of all time. Julia Child didn't publish her first cookbook until she was 50. She revolutionized American cooking. Alan Rickman didn't get his first movie role until he was 46. He became one of the most beloved actors of his generation. Stan Lee created his first hit comic, Fantastic Four, at 39, after nearly 2 decades of writing forgettable comics. He went on to create Spider-Man, X-Men, Iron Man, and basically the entire Marvel universe in his 40s and 50s. Now you might be thinking, sure, but those are exceptional people. That's not realistic for me. You're right, you probably won't become internationally famous, but you're missing the point. The point isn't that you'll become Julia Child. The point is that Julia Child was 50 years old when she started the thing she's famous for. She didn't let, I should have started younger, stop her from starting. And more importantly, there are millions of people who started late and never became famous, but who fundamentally changed their lives anyway. The person who learned to play piano at 45 and now plays for pleasure every evening. The person who started running at 50 and completed their first marathon at 53. The person who learned to code at 35 and switched to a career they actually enjoy. The person who started painting at 60 and now sells work at local galleries. These people aren't famous. They're just people who decided that late was better than never. Here's what people don't understand about starting. Progress compounds. When you start something today, you're not just creating today's version of yourself. You're creating a trajectory. Let's say you start learning Spanish today. In 1 month, you'll know more Spanish than you do right now. In 3 months, you'll be able to have basic conversations. In a year, you'll be able to watch shows in Spanish. In 3 years, you might be fluent. But if you don't start today, in 3 years, you'll still be monolingual, thinking, I wish I'd started learning Spanish 3 years ago. The same is true for literally everything. Investing, fitness, learning an instrument, building a business, developing a craft, building relationships, developing any skill. Every day you wait is a day of compounding progress you'll never get back. One of the most insidious reasons people don't start is they're waiting to be ready. I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when I have more money. I'll start when I've done more research. I'll start when I feel more confident. Here's the secret. You will never feel ready. Never. Readiness is not a feeling that arrives and signals it's time to begin. Readiness is what happens after you start, not before. You become ready by doing the thing you don't feel ready for. Think about anything you're currently good at. Did you feel ready when you started? Or did you feel awkward, uncertain, maybe even stupid? You learn to ride a bike by riding the bike and falling off. You learn to speak in public by speaking in public and being nervous. You learn to write by writing badly and improving. Waiting for readiness is waiting for a bus that's never coming. The only way to become ready is to start before you're ready. Every day you don't start is a day you lose. Not in a dramatic life or death sense, but in a quiet, cumulative sense. If you wait 1 year to start learning piano, that's a year of practice you'll never have. You can't get it back. You can start a year from now, but you'll be starting from zero, just like you could start from zero today. Except you'll be a year older. This compounds over time. Wait 5 years. And you're 5 years behind where you could have been. Wait 10 years, and the gap is even wider. And here's the worst part. The regret doesn't decrease over time. It intensifies. The 30-year-old who wishes they'd started at 25 feels bad. The 40-year-old who wishes they'd started at 30 feels worse. The 60-year-old who wishes they'd started at 40 feels devastated. The pain of not starting doesn't fade. It accumulates. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need ideal circumstances. You don't need to know exactly how it's going to work out. You just need to start. Imperfect action today beats perfect action tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. There's always another reason to wait, another thing to prepare, another excuse to delay. Start messy, start small, start scared, just start. Want to write a book? Write 1 page today. Want to get in shape? Do 10 push-ups today. Want to start a business? Make 1 cold call today. Want to learn an instrument? Practice for 10 minutes today. It doesn't have to be impressive. It doesn't have to be Instagram-worthy. It just has to be real. Because here's the thing, once you start, momentum builds. The first step is the hardest. The second step is easier. The 10th step is easier still. But you have to take the first step. Here's something I've never heard in my life. I really regret learning that skill. I wish I hadn't gotten in shape. I'm upset that I started that business, even though it failed. I'm angry that I learned to play guitar. People regret things they did that hurt others. They regret cruel words or selfish actions, but they don't regret trying to improve themselves. They don't regret learning, growing, building, creating. The only regret is not starting sooner. And that regret is universal. Talk to anyone who's accomplished something meaningful, and they'll tell you, I wish I'd started earlier. But the ones who actually accomplished the thing, they started anyway, despite not starting earlier. They didn't let too late stop them. If you're waiting for someone to give you permission to start, this is it. You have permission. Permission to start the thing you've been thinking about. Permission to be bad at it at first. Permission to learn in public. Permission to fail and try again. Permission to start even though you should have started years ago. You don't need anyone else's approval. You don't need anyone else's validation. You just need your own decision. Start. Starting doesn't mean quitting your job and diving into the deep end. It means taking one small, concrete action today that moves you toward the thing you want. If you want to write one paragraph today. If you want to learn to code, complete one coding tutorial today. If you want to get fit, do one workout today. If you want to learn a language, learn 10 words today. If you want to start a business, validate one business idea today. One action, today, that's all. And then tomorrow, do it again. And the day after that, and the day after that. You don't build a skill in one day, but you do build it one day at a time. And the only way to arrive at 1 year of practice is to start with 1 day of practice. Every time you start something today, you're giving a gift to your future self. The you of next year will thank the you of today for starting. The you of 5 years from now will thank the you of today for not waiting. The you of 10 years from now will look back at today as the moment everything changed. Or they won't, because you didn't start. The future is going to arrive either way. The only question is whether you want to arrive there with progress or with regret. Right now, as you're reading this, you are the youngest you will ever be again. Every second that passes, you get older. That's not good or bad, it's just true. But it also means that if you're going to start something, the best time is literally right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after you finish this article. Now. Because in 5 minutes, you'll be older than you are right now. In 5 years, you'll be much older. And if you haven't started by then, you'll be sitting here, reading something like this, wishing you'd started 5 years ago. Don't be that person. Be the person who started. You already know what it is. That thing you've been thinking about, that skill you've wanted to learn, that project you've wanted to start, that change you've wanted to make. You know what it is because it keeps coming back to your mind. It's the thing you think about when you imagine a better version of your life. So here's my question. What's stopping you from taking one small step toward it today? Not a perfect step, not a huge leap, just one small, concrete action. What would that action be? Now go do it. Not after you finish this article, not after you think about it some more, not tomorrow. Today. Because today is the youngest you'll ever be. And 5 years from now, you'll either be glad you started or you'll wish you had. The choice is yours. Start today.